Hello, my little filmer dudes. My name is Ivan Montero, and thank you for joining me on my journey to watch every movie ever created. Not really, but we are going to get close. Spoilies do abound in this video for the entirety of the Despicable Me franchise, so if you don't want to know anything about those movies, I guess don't watch this video, but please do, because I do need your views. I challenge you to go search up Illumination's filmography. Perhaps you'll be shocked to find out that they made both a weird James Marsden live action animation hybrid Easter movie that likely got him the role for Sonic, and The Lorax. Considering Illumination's, in my opinion, weak lineup of films, yikes, Illumination Entertainment is actually not that good. Regardless, Despicable Me is one I do like, and I didn't honestly have the chance to review Despicable Me for this past summer, so I thought I would rank the entirety of the franchise for you, including the Minions. Starting with number 6, Despicable Me 4. Nobody thought that there could be a worse Despicable Me movie than the Minions, but here comes in the definition of overstaying your welcome. I don't think that this movie was at all necessary. Is it fun? If you can ignore the blatant issues, then yes, it is fun. But overall, it's so bad. I decided I'm going to read you my notes. Why didn't Gru immediately tell Lucy about the little girl whose name I clearly didn't care to know? Why didn't Gru tell the AVL immediately, hey, there's a little shit that the neighbors dropped on my yard and she knows too much? How was Lucy not upset by the heist with a minor? How are we not talking about this more? On that note, how does Margot feel about Gru bonding with a different girl and them sharing a secret that doesn't belong to Margot? It's weird. Why couldn't have that little girl been Margot? How does no one in this movie talk about the school heist? Dr. Nefero being left behind in this movie seems irresponsible. What else seems irresponsible is never teaching your kid to not open the doors for strangers. That's insane. Oh my gosh. Never open the doors for strangers, especially if your family is not present. In fact, never open the doors for anyone. Have your parents open the doors for you. It's common sense, common safety. I had an issue with that. The roach villain is literally scraping the bottom of the barrel. Never do that again. It was kind of gross to sit through because we're eating popcorn, we're drinking our drinks, and then suddenly there's roaches on screen everywhere, and just everybody in the theater lost their appetite. And finally, Illumination has done it again. And yes, I will be dogging on Illumination throughout the rest of this video. Coming in number 5 is Minions. Oh boy, what a not good movie. A whole hour and a half just to tell us that the Minions don't work unless they're with Gru. But by the time that Gru actually appears in the movie, it's at the end of the movie, and it's only to end cap the movie as a cameo. Also, the humor in the movie is really weird and low-key makes me uncomfortable because this is a kid's movie, but there's so much weird humor that is aimed for adults, and I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I think it's weird and uncomfy. Could have been better, but this is Illumination, so to be expected. Coming in at number 4 is Despicable Me 2. I was so excited for this one after the first one, and I remember exactly where I sat and in what theater as well. Isn't trauma interesting? This movie starts the weird trend that the girls are somehow no longer important to develop because they kind of just exist in these movies. They don't really contribute anything to the story after the first one. They're all the same age. How do they have a baby in Despicable Me 4 and everyone is still the same freaking age? No! Plus, the treatment for Margot in Despicable Me 2 was awful. Hashtag justice for Margot. The villain and misuse of the Minions were such a betrayal as well. Despicable Me 2 totally suffered from mad sequelitis, and it was the start of me realizing that Illumination may not actually be as good as I initially thought. Coming in at number 3 is Minions: The Rise of Gru. See, I like Minions 2. There's something magical about watching an Illumination film with a good story. See, even as a compliment, I can still dog on Illumination. Sure, there are glaring issues with the script, making the pacing seem really weird, and sure, some jokes are questionable, but I enjoy the fact that we got to see a Gru prequel rather than a Minions sequel. Seeing how Gru started out as a villain was really nice. However, once the movie got to the point where the Minions had to go rescue Gru on their own, I mean, that's when I became a little bit less interested in the movie. I genuinely really think that the Minions just too much. It's too much slapstick. They work as shorts, not as an entire movie. I am interested in watching the third Minions movie when it comes out in 2027 to see if they commit to a possibly teenager Gru and Minions movie, but I rather not have it be like a Minions by themselves again, or Minions having to go rescue Gru again. I just stop it. No more Minions by themselves. Coming in at number 2 is Despicable Me 3. Finally, a good Illunimation movie appears on the list. I know a lot of you hate Despicable Me 3 for some reason, but I actually enjoyed this because of the zany antics. And bringing in a second Gru in the form of Drew was genius. It was like the best of both worlds. We got to see Gru as a hero. We got to see Gru back in proper form as a villain, even if it was for a brief time. Are the family's B stories a bit messy? Yes. Is the goat too much? Absolutely. But I enjoyed the family dynamic and the villain so much. Finally, a villain worthy of following Vector. And finally, in number 1, as you may have already guessed, is Despicable Me 1. We did it! Despicable Me Classic, we can call this one. Despicable Me Classic, rewatching it as an adult isn't honestly the best movie ever made, but what makes this movie really good is the simplicity in its heart and its emotion in the story. Every other Despicable Me movie in the franchise has opted out of the heart of the emotion. What makes Despicable Me, Gru, and the girls a thing is the family. And honestly, all of them have excluded that aspect from Gru's character development, and where Despicable Me 2 and 3 should have been no-brainers, should have been so good, they kind of fell flat because they were focusing too much on the Minion slapsticks and other random-ass cheap humor to make kids more engaged with the movie, sure, but at what detriment? The detriment of your entire franchise. Despicable Me Classic knew how to utilize each joke and each moment to further its story, leading to Gru's final decision, being the best known villain to ever exist, or being the best dad known to these 3 little girls. Beautiful. It's a beautiful story and I love it so much. Well, that is it. That is my Despicable Me franchise ranking. Let me know in the comments, what is your ranking? Did it line up with mine, or is it a little different? That's okay if it is. I want to know what your list is and your reasons as to why. My social media links are in the description below, and I will see you next time. You've just been Montified.